A video on cooking carrots. So I'm at work, it's a bit noisy, and I'm not going to cook the carrots now, but we're going to talk about what I'm going to do with them. Normally cook carrots ideally in a bit of ham stock for the best results, and then what happens is the carrots take on the flavour of the ham stock and it gives them a lovely flavour. But I haven't got just quite enough ham stock, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some glaced carrots. Kind of like a fishy carrot. Fishy carrots use fishy water. I'm not going to use fishy water. It's kind of like a sweet mineral water is fishy water. It's quite expensive. But I'm going to use ham stock. I'm going to use a little bit of ham stock that I've got. Well, it's not actually ham stock. It's the stock that was left from the rendering of the fat from some pig skin that I had. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah, well, it's hammy porky stock, but it's more hammy than porky. So I'm going to cook the carrots in a little bit of the ham stock, and so they are going to more steam more than actually boil. So it'll be like a stir fry type of thing, but without the frying, more like a stir stewing. And there's some butter in there as well. So there is about 5 kilos of cooked and peeled carrots, and there's about 250 grams worth of butter, and then there's about, what's that? It's about 2 litres of stock, which is not enough to cover the carrots. So what's going to happen is, as the stock boils, it's going to cook the carrots, and it will cook and steam them at the same time. I'm also going to put some peas in there at the end as well, just for the sake of ease, rather than have to cook the peas separately. So it's going to be a case of, hopefully, by the time the majority of the stock has boiled and evaporated off, the carrots will be cooked, so they'll take on all that flavour of the stock, and the butter will have also glazed them as well. So it's kind of like a glazed, glacé type of carrots that we're doing. And then we'll throw in some, we'll taste as we go along, and then we'll throw in a little bit of butter, a little bit of sugar and a little bit of salt. Not going to bother with pepper, just some salt and some sugar as we kind of go along. But that's just how we are at the moment. The next stage will be cooking them, quite a fierce heat, and they'll start steam stroke, boil stroke, fry stroke, braise in the raw juices in that pan with a lid on. But you'll see, I'm kind of not doing a very good job of explaining. The video will kind of show you exactly what's kind of going on. Right, so hopefully you can see through the steam. The carrots are basically cooking on a high heat in an emulsion of the stock and the butter. We will need to taste it. So because we're using less liquid, we need to use less salt. So we just need to be careful about the salt that we add. Needs a little bit of salt. Doesn't need any butter though. Doesn't need any sugar though. So not much salt. About that much. Give it a stir around. Lid back on. And because we're cooking it with less liquid, it means the carrot's going to keep a more intensified kind of flavour, because the more liquid you add to things, the more that liquid soaks out flavour. I'm doing things with my hands and I'm not on camera. It soaks out the flavour, the more liquid you cook vegetables in. So they'll be fine for another 5 or 10 minutes. We'll see how they are, and then I'm just going to add some frozen peas in at the end. We'll retaste them, we'll taste the carrot. I'm not a fan of hugely al dente vegetables. Some people kind of quite are into squeaky vegetables. I'm not. I kind of quite like soft vegetables. They've got loads of flavour to them. So we'll cook them a little bit past al dente. We'll taste them, and then we'll throw in some peas, and then you can see frozen peas. All they really need to do is just come back up to temperature, because they're already cooked, really. But anyway, so that won't take long. I know you're looking at a pan lid when you don't need to see it there. So carrots are almost cooked. Put the frozen peas in now, it will stop the carrots from cooking, and by the time that the stock and the butter and the carrots come back to temperature, the carrots will be cooked and so will the peas. bag you in with a plastic bag of peas, so that should be enough. Actually, we'll put them all in. Stir around. Not going to put the lid back on because you shouldn't put lids on pans if you're cooking green vegetables. That goes with peas as well, even though they cook kind of quite quickly. Should have broken the peas up a little bit, but that'll be fine. So, back up to temperature, and as soon as it boils, the peas will be cooked, carrots will be ready, and we can drain them off. I'm going to save that stock, and I'll put it in a container and we'll see what happens to it when it sets overnight. So it should separate back into the stock and the butter on top, and we might be able to use it for something else. Right, so back up to the boil. Added a bit more salt because we need to compensate for the peas being adding and the peas taking some of the salt out of the stock and the butter. Peas are cooked, delicious. Carrots are cooked. So I just need to strain that off, keep the juice, and there we go. So probably a little bit too much liquid. If I'm honest, probably could have done with half that liquid, but there's always, if you're using frozen peas, there's always a bit of liquid that comes out of the bags of the frozen peas. But anyway, so it's still delicious and much nicer than boiling carrots in plain water. I would say if you haven't got any fresh stock, I'd use stock cubes, and I'd use double the amount of stock cubes that you normally do. So if it was 1 stock cube per litre, I would use 2 per litre, but it's probably not. It's probably 1 stock cube per half litre, so I'd use 2 stock cubes per half litre, 4 stock cubes per litre of actual liquid in the pan. So this is the cooking liquor from the carrots and the peas, and as you can see, the stock is fallen to the bottom and the butter has separated onto the top. So let's give it a bit of a try. So I put it in a container. Just be able to see just a little bit better. If your containers are prone to a bit of leaking, what you can do is you can just put a bit of paper in between the lid and the top of the jar, and it will just seal it. You can't preserve things that way, but if you're transporting things, it just creates a seal and stops things from splashing about a bit. So the stock is going to be nice and solid, and then we've got the butter on top. So a bit, just do it. Can we see? So what's happened is it's not solid, so it's not like separated into the into ghee, but it's the butter there, and it will flavour with the carrots and the peas. So I'll give it a bit of a taste, but I think I'll be able to use that in a bit of mashed potatoes. It'd be nice. It's lost a bit of its buttery flavour, but I'm going to use that in some mashed potatoes tonight, and that will be nice. And then, I don't want to use that spoon, I'll put it in the mouth, use another spoon, and then we'll just tease some of that butter out of the way, and then we'll be able to have a look at the stock. So the stock was porky hammy stocky. It was, in thinking about it now, it was a mixture of pork skin stock. That's not really stock, but and I put some ham stock in as well. So that should be tasted as well. So it'll taste still a little bit. It's nice and jellified. It'll taste still a little bit of the pork and the ham, and it'll taste. It'll take on some of the flavour from the carrots and the peas and the butter as well. So that should be nice as well. So we'll be able to make some nice soup out of that. That's really nice as well. So that's not going to get wasted. If I had a load of onions, I'd turn that into French onion soup, and that'd be really nice. And then, yeah, so we don't like waste. So anyway, do I have anything else to add? No, I think that's it. Yeah, I think in retrospect, I would have used slightly less stock because the frozen peas added quite a bit of liquid to the cooking process. But still, the carrots are beautiful. The peas are really nice. and we're left with that as well, which we can use as well. There we go. What did we call them? Did we call them glazed carrots, or were they weren't vishy carrots? Glazed carrots, candied carrots? No, I forget. Buttered carrots? I don't know. Candied carrots. I can't remember. I've forgotten. But anyway, a nicer way of cooking carrots.